Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Small Business Success Talk. I am your host, Christy Smallwood, and we are smack in the middle of spring around here in Louisville, Kentucky, which means everything has a nice coating of pollen on it. So if I, take a swig of whatever's next to me, don't think nothing about it. Everything's dried out and everything is just, so much fun. And then, of course, when summer hits, it's going to be, I can't say what I was going to just say. Going to say it anyway. Some of my friends would be like, hotter than balls outside. It's going to be hot and humid and sticky very shortly around here. So looking forward to every minute of it. I'm going to soak up the sun as much as I possibly can. I love me some good organic vitamin D. It's fantastic. So speaking of getting out for this summer, there's going to be a lot of events, a lot of things coming up. Even in your local area, I'm sure festivals are starting up big, hot, and heavy this year. I am so excited that my community is getting back out and having some fun again. The Derby was a big deal just a couple weeks ago. The all of the other local festivals that we're talking about, and my sponsor partner, the Chamber of St. Matthews, is a community partner with the city of St. Matthews. So it makes us a very unique chamber in the sense of we are the ones that actually produce the community events, which is a little weird in the chamber world. You don't have a chamber of commerce that actually produces all of the events, but we are one of those. And this year, it's already out in the public, so I'm not giving away any secrets. This year, we are reviving a classic festival in my little area here in Louisville. So Louisville, for those of you who are not locals, is made up of, almost 100. Like we have like 82, 86, 90. I don't know. It's a large number of smaller municipalities. So little cities, and they call them a league of cities, all within Jefferson County, which makes up Louisville Metro. And each of these little cities can do all their things and have these little festivals. So St. Matthews is having a festival this year that they've revived from the 1940s. Back in the day, that little area of St. Matthews used to be the largest producer and shipper of potatoes. My friend Elizabeth at the chamber is through the roof excited to get this thing revived. It'll be a first year event for us. So it's going to be a 1-day event coming up in August, and it's all things potatoes. We are super excited about this. I speak in a language of superheroes because that's my thing. But the puns that we have had on producing this event, she is just, we had a meeting today. It was so funny. We had a meeting today and we're talking about the marketing and the promotion for this. And our newest chamber staff person, Shelby, had mentioned something and she's like, fry again, try again, fry again. Like everything is starting to become so mashed together. It's wonderful. It's only going to get worse, y'all. It's only going to get worse. I'm going to promise not to talk about it all the time on here, but when you're producing a community event, the small businesses come out in droves to support it because that's where small business can get hand in hand with the community and have some fun together doing all the things. And so I think there's even going to be a tater trot. I don't know. There's all kinds of stuff. So if you're interested, we're putting together all the promotional things now. You'll find it on Facebook. It'll have its own website, the whole 9 yards. So I'm just super, super excited and very proud of my chamber for being a thriving group of people who have a fun culture to mesh business with community. I love being a part of it. And I'm glad that they have been a partner with me on this podcast. This particular episode today, I'm going to introduce you to one of my good friends who also happens to be my coach, friend first, coach recently. He and I have known each other for a handful of years now, and I only let him coach me because we were trained the same methods of coaching. So he knew the language, he knew what I would expect of him as a coach. I am a coach, so it's a lot. When you use a coach, whether it be a business coach, a life coach, a health coach, a whatever, take the time to interview your coaches, your options out there, because one, while they may be really good at what they do, they may not mesh well with you. You got to know if you're going to get along. Whatever you're going to work on to better yourself, you are going to be in a very vulnerable state of thinking and emotionally. You need somebody you feel safe with, that you know is also going to pull you forward. There's no judgment involved, all that kind of stuff. You need a good, safe environment in which to do that. That's thus interview your coaches as options. I love my friend Daryl. He is a source of joy for me. His whole family. I don't get to spend near enough time with his wife, but his boys. I love the random phone calls that I could get and get asked Wonder Woman questions. It's one of my favorite things. So I very much enjoy him. I hope you guys will enjoy this episode as well. And I want to introduce you to my friend and coach, Deryl Sweeney.
I cannot answer that question.
You're giving me this really weird look and I don't know how to take it.
I'm just having fun.
Are you?
Yeah.
Okay. So first of all, thank you, my friend Daryl, for agreeing to come on the show and share with our audience a little bit about you and your businesses. And I really want to dive into coaching as well.
Yeah.
And what that means and does. So give us your origin story.
Oh, my origin story. That's a big ask.
Yes. And that's why I do it.
Oh, man. My origin story. I will start by telling you what I thought it was and what I told it as for a very long time, because I didn't fully understand. I used to tell people that when you look at kind of my career and all the things that I've done, it's the most nonlinear path you'll ever believe. And now I see it's all connected, but I had to get to a certain point in the story before it started to really make sense. So my origin story, I mean, I'm the oldest of three. My dad, when I was born, he was in the Marine Corps, captain in the Marine Corps, retired, ended up back in Louisville. And then he became an entrepreneur. So kind of my earliest memories are kind of nipping at his heels, like watching kind of his entrepreneurial journey. And we would have conversations. And even when I went to college, I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I didn't know what I wanted to do or what that meant fully, but in the back of my mind, that's what I wanted to do. Graduated college, and I started my first business a year out of college. And at the time, I think we were pretty aware. I had a partner. We didn't know what we were doing, but we thought we were smart enough to figure it out. And we brought a product to market and brought a container worth of stuff over from China. We literally built a bedpost shelf, a plastic shelf that attached to bunk beds for college dorms. Brought those 10,000 of them over from China, confident that Target and Bed Bath & Beyond and all the big box stores were just waiting for our call, because this is the best invention that anybody had ever come up with. It didn't take long to figure out that wasn't the case.
Sorry.
So we just started selling. It became probably the first time in my life is like, okay, here's the situation, here's what it is. We just got to figure it out. And we started going to college bookstores and setting appointments and just showing up when they wouldn't set appointments and selling these things 12 units at a time. And we went literally all over the country. I mean, I remember flying into San Francisco, renting a car and driving all through California, flying out of San Diego, stopping at every college that, I could work my way into to have conversations about bedpost shelves. And that went really well. We ended up in 350 college bookstores. Then we could get an audience with Bed Bath & Beyond, Linens and Things. So we went to retail. That spun into an e-commerce company. So did the whole dormbuys.com thing, e-commerce, selling anything and everything to college kids living on campus. Did that for a long time. That's where I started to understand what it is to build a team and have a team and disagree and divorce a business partner and just all the stuff and manage a business through a recession and exit a business. Like all of these things happened kind of during that time. And it's where I went from at times thinking I was the best entrepreneur to ever walk the earth, and at other times looking in the mirror and saying, what in the world were you thinking? Like all of the emotions. And, as a part of that, probably 2 of my hardest years in business when the recession hit and banks came and reclaimed a lot of our credit lines. We were a super seasonal business. It was not the most well thought out business plan I've ever had, but all of a sudden I went from a really healthy business to having no access to cash and having to manage a business with no cash for 2 years, and navigating that was some of the hardest things I've ever done. And now it's easy to say, right? Hindsight.
Sure.
That I wouldn't change it for the world because I learned so much during that process. And then at the end of that, I literally sold that business and got married a week later, packed up, moved to Indianapolis, got a job with a different company. So I had a boss for the first time in a decade. So that was weird.
So wait a second. I knew you before you got married.
Oh, yeah.
I thought you two were married whenever I met you.
No.
Oh, okay. So now we know when I've entered the timeline
Yeah.
of awareness about Deryl. Okay.
Yeah.
Because you had just sold the business,
Yeah.
met you. We had brought you into the group environment of things. We won't go into details about that. But anyway, we're not here to talk about mine.
The group environment. Yeah, yeah. Because it was a time where suddenly, for so long I've been going to small business meetups and hangouts, and this was my identity. I was an entrepreneur and it's what I was. And then all of a sudden I was like facing this reality that I wasn't. And I was talking to you at the time about what was going on. I didn't know if I was going to live in Louisville or Indianapolis or what was going to go on. And, I say for the first time in a decade, I was thinking about what am I going to do professionally, and kind of navigating, figuring that out all over again. And it felt really foreign to me, when you and I started to build our relationship.
Yeah. So you worked for somebody else for a time. What was that like?
Yeah, and that was awesome. So I went to, let me say this. So through the Dorm Buys experience, one of the things I learned about myself was how passionate I was about people. When I came out of that, I really enjoyed the growth, the development, the people part of being a leader, being an entrepreneur. And I took leadership really, really seriously. And so then I went to Indianapolis. So we did end up moving to Indianapolis, and I fell in with the gentleman we were just talking about, featured in the Disney Way.
Nice.
So he had an innovation company, as a consumer-focused innovation company. And I had so much fun there. So I jumped in sales, business development. I had so much fun there because it was ethnography. We helped companies study people and the way people interacted and engaged with things in the world. So one of our clients was Delta Faucet. So we would watch people go in and watch the way they used their kitchen faucet and watch the way they made dinner and ate dinner and cleaned up dinner. We'd be in people's homes having these really intimate research, real life, in their face, front and center ways. And then we get to unpack all that with the team and understand what are the unmet needs. And I felt like I had this passion for people that was really raw. And my time with this innovation company really helped bring a almost scientific element to that part of the story. And suddenly I started to understand people and look for unmet needs and try to get creative and lead, ideation sessions and all kinds of things on how to solve those needs. So I did that, and that was a really incredible part of my journey. I got recruited away by Herf Jones. Now, this is interesting for me because you know me well enough to know that there's not a lot of big corporate experience in my background.
No.
So during this time, my wife was in talks to, she's in medicine, come back to Norton here in Louisville. And so I knew there was a great chance I was moving back to Louisville. And Herf Jones is this billion-dollar company that does class rings and yearbooks and caps and gowns. They had lost relevance with the people they served. And I had actually approached them from a business development standpoint saying, hey, help us. Let us help you better understand the people you serve. Let us help you reestablish that relevance to fill needs that are unfilled today. And as a part of that process, they said, nobody talks about us being irrelevant like you do. Nobody talks the way you talk. And then, long story short, they asked me to come work for them. And I thought to myself, this is really interesting. I've served big companies. I've worked as contractor and service provider to big corporations, but I've always imagined what it's like on the inside, but I've never seen it. And I was pretty sure I would hate it, but I still wanted to see it. So, and I told them, I said, look, I don't know how long I'm going to be in Indianapolis. They said, we'll take you as long as we can get you. So I ended up doing that. And it didn't take long in the traditional performance engine of the company for them to realize that I ask a lot of questions and rock a lot of boats, and I'm not really the status quo guy. But that opened up a door for me to go and work on some really cool education technology, skunkworks projects for them. And for a while, we thought, hey, this is going to be a long-term thing. And we built a team, and I led that. And it's totally outside of the machine that was Herff Jones. I always tell people, I said it was the most well-funded startup I've ever worked for, because we were driving no revenue and they were paying me really, really well. and I told my wife, who is not in this world, I told her, I said, this is not real. This will not last.
This is not normal.
But we did end up moving back to Louisville, and that's when I went down the marketing technology route. I built a marketing company, and I was doing really well. You know, we did hyper-targeted marketing. Mm-hmm. We were doing really well. I became known for it here locally. I started getting invited to speak around the country, and I was seen as an expert. And yet I felt very unfulfilled. And I started playing with that, started wondering, started asking questions. And around this time, I'd always spent time with people. People would call and say, hey, can we grab lunch? Can we grab coffee? Can I pick your brain? And I'd just say yes. I just always wanted that margin to be able to say yes. And people would tell me, you should be a coach, or you're great at this. And I didn't know what that meant, but I was like, yeah, one day I will do that. And I got to the point where I started asking myself, what is this one day that I'm waiting for? And I eventually made the jump into coaching. Made the jump into coaching, which combines so much of what I love. Mm-hmm. It's the people combined with the business strategy, combined with the growth, combined with the creativity and the innovation. You bring all that together, and this is by far, doing this coaching thing is by far the most fulfilling thing I've done.
So what has been like some of the biggest challenges that have stuck out for you that you've had to overcome, and then how did you overcome it?
I mean, gosh, there are challenges all the time. The biggest challenges, I mean, if we go early on, I think the challenge that surprised me the most early in my story was that my business partner and I had built a successful company. And this is back in the kind of dorm buys and mini mantle, the bedpost shelf days. We built a successful company, and we were highly aligned. Right? We were friends. We were partners. We did everything together. We knew each other's families. We had gone to college together. So, we were largely inseparable. And then we started hiring people. And I think we just assumed that our views on leadership and the way things were going to work, like, why would this be any different than anything else had ever been? And our styles were so different. I am a very collaborative leader. I want to be surrounded by people smarter than me. I want to hear your ideas and your creativity, and I want to figure this thing out and feel like we're all rowing together. My partner at the time was very, and I don't say this word negatively, but almost dictatorial in that, hey, this is my role, and this is the next person's role, and this is the next person, and you listen to the leader, and they tell you what to do, and then you go and do it, and you execute it. So very different styles.
Very hierarchy driven.
Yes. And we literally spent almost 2 years trying to convince one another that the other person's style was right. that this is the path to success. And this is why he needed to be more like me. And he was doing the same on his end and telling me all the stuff that was wrong with the way that I did it. And unfortunately, it wasn't until we were kind of on the other side of that and we decided to go our separate ways that I realized there was no right and wrong here, that I can be successful as a collaborative leader and that the business could have thrived with me as a collaborative leader. And the business could have also thrived with a more hierarchical approach. But we were so caught up in our own stuff that we were convinced there was only one way that was the right way, and it was our way, that it could have gone differently. So that was one of the early big challenges and big lessons that I learned was, there are a lot of ways to be successful and there's no one right way, and it's funny because now as I think of where I am all these years later, I think of how often I work with clients and we talk about this belief, their beliefs around what's right and what's wrong, what's positive and what's negative. And when we can take a step back from that, we realize that, there's no right or wrong. It's what feels right for you right now. And whatever decision you make, great. Now that we've made a decision, let's make the decision right. And that becomes the work. But it took a while to learn that.
Andy Andrews has plenty of books out there, and I've read a saying a few times. It's in one of his responsibilities statements of we don't always make right decisions, but we have the ability to make decisions right.
Yeah.
And so regardless of, it's almost like just pick something and get the movement started.
Yeah.
That way, if you need to change it, that's fine. But this is where, I don't know, might have an ego issue. I might have an ego issue if I'm not willing to make a change.
I'm sure it's only you.
For the sake of all of our listeners and watchers, I'll take it. It's only me. You guys don't have that issue ever. Okay, so what's been one of your proudest moments?
I think for me, having the courage to do it differently. For so long, I lived a life and I was a Gary Vee disciple, and I read the books and saw the way it was done and had this really concrete vision of what an entrepreneur was and what success looked like. And I chased it, and I chased it hard, and I worked my tail off. I still get some of the old, Facebook posts and things I used to post. And I was like, gosh, I really used to post some of this stuff. I'd talk about how early I got to work and how late I left because that felt successful to me.
Right. If you're up at 4 a.m. before everybody else, then you got it.
Yeah, grit and grind.
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that stuff. But I was this disciple to that lifestyle and that story, and I chased it so hard. And along the way, I think I'm really proud of, especially after getting married and then going on to have kids, that at some point I just made a decision like, this isn't about building a successful company so that I can one day live a life that looks like fill in the blank. It's, I can decide, right back to making our decision, I can decide what kind of life I want to live now. And so when I launched my marketing company and I carried it through to my coaching company, I didn't start with, what does the business require of me? And then let me squeeze fatherhood and being a husband and being a friend, being a brother and a son into whatever's left. I said, what do I want my life to look like? What is that vision? And now let me go build a business around that. And I'm proud that I don't miss my kids' soccer games. I don't miss practices. I don't miss things. Me and my wife have spontaneous dates. Like, I am living my best life, and I still have goals in my business that I am yearning for and growing toward and reaching for, but the life that I want to live, life is precious. I didn't kick that can down the road and say one day I'll get there after I do this. It's right. I want to live in the now. I want to appreciate and fully just live fully in what I have and appreciate the moments I have and the opportunities I have. And let's go build a great business that supports this life.
Okay, so I'm sure I'm going to get some feedback after already we're only, we're only 18 minutes into this. So I know I'm going to get feedback that, oh my God, he's got such a fabulous voice, because usually I end up talking a lot more at this point in my own episodes. And I haven't said a whole lot, but I do want to point out that when you talk about chasing after that, what that looks like for other entrepreneurs that, I follow Gary Vee as well. And like, he's big, like he's out there thousands of times a day. It's hard to miss somebody like that. But having that grit and grind and all. But I've also noticed that even his message is shifting to, he works hard and rests hard and plays hard. Like, but he's got it all siloed. He's like, all you guys are paying attention to is the grit and the grind. He's like, F it, fuck it. Just do what you want to do.
Yeah. Just
like you're saying. Now, Gary Vee, it's a special person that could handle Gary Vee's personality for a long period of time. Yeah. But for somebody like you, very articulate, very calming effect. This is why you are also my coach. Well, that's one reason. 2, you know me, and 3, I know where you've been trained. So you and I have the similar training background in that, and I trust those methods. But the sense of, in the state of business today, the state of the entrepreneur today, first of all, the youngins are coming in, right? Mm-hmm. And they automatically have that viewpoint of what entrepreneurship should be, of I want the life I want. How can I make money to support it? Versus, the old gal in the room here, back in my day, you built the business to do good things in the community, and you just worked your ass off, and the business got everything. You got what was left. Yeah. And I work with a lot of clients who live that out. Like they're still, I'm working with them. Like their biggest goal when I first started is like just to take a vacation, and the business still function without them. Yeah. And when that is like a number one goal of the strategy that they want to work on, I'm like, okay, I get that. Me, I'm different, obviously, because I am completely by myself here. And this is why I need somebody like you in my life to say, you really do need a break. Just because you're by yourself doesn't mean you can't take time off. So to have that different perspective, this facet approach of having the life that a business supports versus having the business that your life is demanding into. Yeah. I love that you're so articulate. I love just the sound of your voice. So keep going.
Well, I think so here's the thing, right? As I hear you reflect that back, this is what gets lost. So people come to me for a business reason. I want to grow my business. I want to launch a second location. I want to build a more cohesive team. I want to develop the new marketing. There's always a business reason. And one of the first things I do is the same thing I did with you. I'm like, cool, what do you want? And I ask people that very seriously because, I think what I do is I help people create, I think we're all creators. And what is it? Let's get really clear about what we want to create. So it's really natural when you're talking to a business coach, having a business conversation to talk about the business you want to create. And I love hearing about those visions. And people out there have powerful ideas that they're trying to bring to life, but also know about the life you want to create. And so even this, is it business and then life, or do you start with your life and then business? And even as I tell my story, I hear how natural it is for us to compartmentalize these things.
Yeah.
And treat them like they're different. It's from 8 to 5, I'm going to do this. And then from, we take a lot of pride because I turn off my phone at 6 p.m. so I can be present with my kids. And it's like, cool, what happens if they call it 2? So I mean, there is this story we're telling ourselves that there are these two different things, and it's like, it's all one, it's all connected.
Yes, because you can't, as a hang on, rein it in. I got too many words trying to come out at once. When I've worked with people, I've gotten them to at least understand you are coming to your business as a whole person. Mm-hmm. There is no such thing as work-life balance. Yeah. You have to integrate what's harmony and the ebb and flow of how this needs to go on a daily basis. Where when you and I allowed this process just because I'm not easily coachable. I will admit it I'm a coach. I know how I should be coached. So I'm a little like I already have a lot of walls built up. But the coaching process with you, I knew I was off balance and I didn't know how to get myself back to my own centering and how to, how to recalibrate, if you will, is what I needed because, energy levels. But when we talk about having things segmented, you are coming at whatever it is that you're there fully present as a whole person.
Yeah.
So all of the baggage, all of your current day stuff, you can't just wash that away. It is still in that conversation with you.
Yeah.
Whatever shitstorm you got going on in your head is still present when you're having dinner with your family.
Yeah.
It's just that energy aspect is there. Okay, so I do want to talk about energy for a little bit.
Bring it.
Okay. Because part of the training that you and I went through talks about this energy level, this, what kind of energy we bring into the room and understanding the shared energy and energy attracts like energy and, not to get all woo woo about it because neither one of us are that. But the concept of, that I've been translating it to lately is battery depletion.
Mm-hmm.
You either have plenty of energy or you don't. You've helped, like my homework is sitting over here on a where I need to define how is Christy magic created. Yeah. And if I don't have a good, what we've been trained, anabolic energy level that is creating the magic, then all I am is my own villain. Yeah. All the time. And so when we look at, I'll go ahead and share because we're doing it, y'all. I said to myself I wasn't going to do this, but I'll just do it because he is my coach and I know you guys want to hear it. So here we go. For all of you listening, probably Josh and Kristen and Elizabeth at the chamber are going to hear this too. Okay, so my assignment also was like the energy audit. Mm-hmm. And step 1 of this energy audit. So let's think this through for a second. When we talk about clients coming to you and they're like, I want to accomplish this thing, can't get there. You are going to ultimately find some blocks and maybe some energy depletion, like what fatigues you. Yeah. And then you probably put them through a tool, something like you're putting me through, this energy audit. Basically, it's one side of the paper is what fills me and the other side is what drains me. But I added a piece. What stills me?
Yeah.
So when I feel calm, like I'm not super energized, I don't feel full, but I also don't feel quite depleted. Like I need to know at least how to get back to basic enough to run on, because then I can find a centering point in what stills me. Yeah. If I'm below my still level, then I'm losing my ever-loving mind, and nobody needs that. So things that fill me are, and I even define them very clearly. Look, I'm showing him.
I see this.
Showing him, yes.
This part, you talk about the Christy magic. This is part of the magic. It's, in coaching, this with the people you work with. It's great to have powerful conversations. But the work that you're alluding to now, like this is what creates the shifts. This is what changes things, is what you take away from those conversations, the work you put into understanding what's going on in your own life, in your own business, in your own head, so that you can start to move the needle. So yeah, I love that we're sharing real life homework you've done. It's beautiful.
Well, because I feel like this is going to be the useful part of why should I use a coach? Like some people, coaching, when you get a coach of any kind, whether it's for professional development or business or whatever, it's also a personal relationship. Mm-hmm. So one, you gotta jive with each other well enough to be able to open up. Yeah. Because if I don't open up, you can't help. And then 2, like you said, this is why I'm bringing up the homework. If I, as the participant in this, don't do the work, nothing's going to happen from it. Yeah. The coach is the guide. Yeah. To my own answers that I do the work for.
Yeah, so I will tell you, because I think it's such a beautiful point you're making. When I'm enrolling a new client, one of the conversations I have early on, so this is after, we've gone through our process, we've spent a lot of time together, we've made the decision, this feels like a hell yes for them and a hell yes for me, and then we move forward. Then we set some agreements, and as a part of that process, one of the things I say, because I do not want anybody to misunderstand it, is the only thing you've paid for is powerful coaching. You haven't paid for any results, because I can't produce results. I can't do the work for anybody. The only thing you've paid for is all of me showing up into this space, me showing up as a partner, somebody to support you in an incredibly powerful way. But that in and of itself isn't going to drive results. So this piece you're talking about is so important to understand the coaching process. To understand leader, we call it coaching. I mean, it's everybody watching this who is leading a team, who is leading,
Yes.
we're out here coaching. It's the same thing.
It is a lot of the same thing. Pastors do it.
Yeah.
That there was a session I took one time where he was up front and he was teaching us, how to be better leaders within the ministry. And one of it is like, you got to understand people are messy and you have to be willing to be in their mess with them to get them out of the mess. And as a coach, we kind of call that holding space. Mm-hmm. Like, we're here, but my dog is not in your hunt, is what I like to say. Yeah. Like, I'm here.
Yeah. Yeah. The thing that wakes you up at 3 a.m, like, I'm all the way in it with you, but the thing that wakes you up at 3 a.m. isn't going to wake me up. Look, listen, I've got my own stuff waking me up at 3 a.m, which is why I have my own coach.
Yes. And it's not me, by the way. It's not me. Yes, and I love your coaching story. So I'm going to share you. We'll finish this project at the moment because I do want to make it one more point. What I used to do when I would do an activity like this is I would be like very, very basic. So for example, what fills me? Music. That would have been my basic answer. Music. But my answer this time is music time. To explore new, sing for an hour, dance, and let it just wash over me. That kind of music is what re-energizes me. Because just having music on isn't going to do enough. Yeah. But having it wash over me. When I do speaking and training, it's seeing others' minds spark, go off like lightning bugs. I love back road driving on a sunny day. Now, Disney World was basic. That's just all encompassing.
Is it possible for Disney World to be basic?
Well, I mean, it was the basic answer. And I've got a few more things on here. And then, of course, what drains me. And I had, too much time on the computer, too much time with negative, panicky people that are bitchy and anxious. Clutter, unfinished projects, emotional entanglements. Nobody's got time for that. And then I put working too many hours. And then I was like, too much time on the computer. And not seeing revenue or tangible results for all the work. Yeah. We're creators. I'm also a creator, and I'm an old-fashioned creator. I like to be able to actually see and hold and touch my stuff. So I still highlight in books. Yeah. I like the feel of something well done. And when we do coaching and marketing, and I've picked these verticals of intangibles. Yeah. Marketing, unless I do, folders and trifolds and things like that who uses those? A very small subset of companies will use it. All of this stuff is now digital. Anything digital is just like not tangible, and therefore, did I actually do anything? It doesn't feel like it. It does not feel like it. So because it doesn't feel like it, it has drained me. Yeah. And so then I go back into, okay, how do I recharge? How do I get to still and recharge? So I did my homework, Daryl.
It's beautiful. Can I make an observation?
Yes.
This is not a coaching call.
Okay. You sure?
So as you're reading your list, I'm struck by the way you said, hey, this is how I would have done it before. Mm-hmm. And as you described, it would have been very basic. And as I noticed the difference, and you could tell me I'm wrong, so I'm not tied to being right about this. But it sounds like before it would have been another thing to do. I told somebody I would do something. I owe them this deliverable. I am going to perform. I'm going to do the thing I said I'm going to do, and then move on to the next because there's 10 other things on the list.
Yep.
Right? And I get to check the box, and that feels like accomplishment, and that's that jolt of satisfaction. But on to the next. When you read this list, I hear somebody who says, I want things to be different. I want to experience shifts. I want to produce a greater level of results than even I was producing before. Right? And you've brought a depth to this because this isn't just a list. this is the work, right? This is the path. This is you shifting from one path to the other.
Yes.
And I just felt that just you reading through it and talking about the way you would have gone about it before.
Yeah, because even in my still time, it's porch time with a book and the hummingbirds, and that's just so peaceful.
Yeah.
And it's slow and it's still. Like, that is my still moments. Beach time. So I need the beach. So yeah, that's why I got the virtual headset.
I was gonna say, and now the beach is here.
Now the beach
Now the
is
beach
here.
comes to you.
Make no mistake. Look, my friend Virginia on her trip a couple of years ago, they did it as a joke, I think, or they thought really highly of me. I don't know, but they came back with this gallon bag size of sand from the beach. So I'm like, now that I have a virtual headset, I'm just going to put that sand in a little tub to put my feet in. I'm going to put that virtual headset on, and there we go. I am set. We'll see. I got to do the best I can some days. That's creative. It might help.
I'm fast forwarding to like version 6 where it's you open the spare bedroom, it's like it's a full-on beach with a full like I'm seeing where this is headed.
Oh no, I want the walk-in pool and everything. Like, I know what I want the environment to look like. I'm definitely not there yet, but I know what I want that to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, okay, doing the homework, making the shifts. I had a train of thought and I completely lost it.
Because you're at the beach.
I'm at the beach. Oh gosh. Okay, so as part of, we've kind of talked about all kinds of things, like this journey through success. And I love that it's just fitting right in with the title of the whole show. So appreciate that tremendously. I remember, we talk about, like, you are my coach and you said you had a coach. Mm-hmm. So walk us through what one of your I've experienced a coach experiences has been like. How has coaching affected you?
In ways that I couldn't have predicted, right? And on one hand, there's some really tangible things. I'm a better communicator. I've improved my processes. I'm more efficient. I've understood how to create conversations. And that's how I've built my business, one conversation at a time. So I've learned how to create conversations, or I've sharpened those skills. So they're very tangible pieces to having a coach, and sometimes I bring very tangible, very practical things. Just this week, I told my coach that, I was struggling, as I'm getting busier, right? So I have the one-on-one work I do with clients and people who are considering becoming clients, but I'm also being asked to do, a keynote speech. I'm being asked to, do a 3-hour workshop, to do a 1-hour fireside chat, like things that take creativity and energy. Mm-hmm. And I said, I feel like because my schedule has been so conversation driven, then I'm kind of trying to figure out how to fit all the other stuff in. And because I have so much I'm trying to fit in, I feel like I'm not really making progress in between the spaces. Right? So that started a conversation around Cal Newport. That started a conversation around time blocking. Right? So I bought the time block calendar, the time block planner. There are very practical tools and techniques and ideas that coaches bring. So I get that piece out of it. I think the more important piece is, we'll just stick with this week. I had a conversation with my coach who, we were talking about some various things. You talked about coaching being a partnership, being a relationship. Mm-hmm. I brought something really practical to my coach, and he largely ignored me and talked about something completely different. And it was
how
one
does
of those,
that feel?
Right. It's different on the other side, as you know. And it was a conversation. It was the perfect conversation at the perfect time. And he challenged me. He talked about the way I share and some of the vulnerability that I've put out online. And, I'm a pretty vulnerable person. I've learned to share. This has been a part of kind of stripping away. I've always been somebody who wants to get it right and thinks about what other people think. And so I've leaned into this a little bit. And he told me this week, I think you can take that up a notch. And he explained that you talk about me in your post. He's like, it's great. It's flattering. I don't need it. My practice is full. He's like, but it's great and it's flattering. And you lift up your clients and you tell client stories and you talk about their work. But you don't talk about the impact you make. You don't talk about the difference. You don't talk about the results that you're driving. And look, I have some of these old marketing rules, right? Always make it about the audience, right? Don't make it about you. Don't make it about yourself. So there's some of these rules that I'm having to kind of unwind, and I can't even see, right? They're invisible to me. So having a coach, for one, highlights those things. But he went on to say, he said something that didn't make sense to me until it did. And he said, false humility is the height of arrogance. And I didn't get it. You're laughing because you've been on the other side of this, but I didn't. Is he calling me arrogant? Is he saying I have false humility? Like I'm sincere, I'm kind, and he's like, yeah, dude, you're a super nice guy. We talk like that. I know. He's like, you're a super nice guy, and the point he was making, what I got glimpses of this week that I don't think happens outside of coaching is that I have crafted a persona. I have crafted a character, right, that I put out into the world. And it's a character that I think people will like and people will accept and people will invite and people will validate and people will hire. That I've created this persona. And it's a way for me to hide behind that persona. And let me put this forward, right? And we all do. There is not a client I've had that I don't think we've talked about imposter syndrome, right? We all feel, we all have that stuff, that voice inside of our head that says we're not enough. So I better project something else because heaven forbid they see me because I'm not enough. And that's what it feels like. So he was highlighting to me that I'm projecting this image and I'm so afraid of that people might see behind it. So when he says, that's what he meant when he said false humility. And the arrogance part is that I think anybody's falling for it, right? That I think anybody's buying this character that I've created. To take that a step further, I saw for maybe the first time in my life, and that the person I'm afraid people are going to see, the person behind the character, isn't the real me at all. Right? So even the me that I'm trying to hide isn't the real me. And the beauty of this conversation and the beauty of what was shown to me through a coaching conversation was that everything I've built this character, this persona to be, I already am. Right? I'm projecting and saying things like, I want to be a great dad. I'm already a great dad. I want to be a great masterful coach. I'm already a great coach. My clients get damn good results.
Yeah, they do.
I am all these things that I'm projecting this character to be. But because I don't believe it, because I pay too much attention to that voice in my head, I'm playing this game and I'm projecting this persona. This isn't about learning or figuring out. It's about, well, just drop that. Be who you are already, those things. And as I start to touch more of that, as I start to see more of that, it allows me to take my clients deeper. It allows me to show up differently in my marriage, with my kids, in my business. So I don't even remember your original question, but I think that's the value of coaching. That's what I have now been coached to experience.
Okay, yeah. I'm looking at you like, wow, a lot of that is familiar because I'm pretty sure I've heard those words at me before.
Yeah.
You've done that to me.
Yeah.
Like, Christy, you already are these things. Yeah. I think we all have that. Like, if we even, I know you and I are probably a little bit more aware of the persona that we're pushing out to others. Some people may not even realize they do it. Mm-hmm. And this is another thing about having a coach, is that we bring the beauty of awareness to your life, like it or not. Some people aren't aware that there's that persona out there. And I know I've done that as well, because I'm like, oh my God, I'm associated with Wonder Woman. Like, people think I'm Wonder Woman. I'm like, I've done a disservice to myself because I'm not that. And then say, you did this coaching with me.
That's the magic of coaching though, right? So we are too emotionally attached to our own stuff to see it.
Emotional entanglement.
Right. We're too caught up. Like we're too caught up in our own thinking in our own emotions, to see it when it's about us, right? And that's why we can do for others. So I have two boys. Samuel's 7 now, and I remember, he said, because they see me on calls all the time, and he said, was that a client? I said, no, I was working with a coach, and he got the strangest look on his face, and he said, so you are a coach that has a coach. And I'm like, and believe it or not, my coach has a coach.
You just totally rocked his world.
And it's the beauty of it, and it's why I believe in having, a coach, a leader, a partner, people that can do this for us in our lives, that can help us see what we can't see ourselves, because we're just in our own stuff. So it's not lost on me that I can powerfully serve a client and help them see something that shifts their entire world, and then go get caught up in my own thinking about the exact same thing 10 minutes later.
Right. I mean, that's what I was like, seriously? You finally got to where I was with you. Okay, got it. Okay, so when we are doing this coaching thing for others, coaching over the past 10 years, I mean, since I started 10 plus years ago, time flies. Sorry, that just hit me. Coaching was typically referred to for high performers or salespeople. Mm-hmm. Like your CEOs would do it, or your salespeople. Mm-hmm. But that's kind of gone away. Like I've done coaching enough to know everybody in business needs one. Everybody who is in a team, not necessarily even the team leader, in a team needs a coach. If you are working with somebody else as a human being, you need a coach. You need like a safe space to go to kind of talk out all of the things, like release some of that energy, find that centering point, and then be guided into where do I really want to go. And that's the kind of the short version of the progression of this thing and I think that everybody should have one. And since we're, we're a business podcast here, if you do not have a coach right now, you need to contact one of us right here, because we'd love to help you with that. At least see if, you're jiving with us, or we have friends that are also coaches. Like we know others in the community that may be a good fit for you too. So obviously go to coaching. Okay. I got a couple more.
Yeah. And on that point, here's what I'd say. Contact both of us and right?
Yes.
Because coaching's personal. You hit on that earlier.
Interview your coach.
Yeah. Spend some time before you make a decision. Make sure, the bar I give is, I want this to be a hell yes for you and a hell yes for me. People are sometimes surprised because we'll go through the process. We'll spend time together. They'll experience my coaching. And at the end of it, they say, okay, let's do this. And I'm like, here's my credit card number. And I said, yeah, why don't you sleep on it? If you wake up tomorrow and it's still a hell yes, and I'm still a hell yes, yeah, let's do it. And if not, let's figure out why not. And maybe it's a not for now, because it doesn't work any other way. So find a coach, spend time with, I met my coach, and we had one coaching call, and I was like, this is the guy. This is the guy who can help me take things to the next level. And I said, okay, I know how excited I get when I feel like,
right.
So, it's okay. This is emotion and excitement and opportunity and all this stuff. So I pumped the brakes, and I started seeking out other powerful coaches. And that has been such a blessing to me, because there are people that I met during that process. Now I ended up with the original coach. Like all of those signs, all those conversations pointed me back to him. But there are other coaches I've now built relationships to, that I'm learning from, that I'm watching their videos or jump into a group or whatever it is that they may be doing. And I can see playing a role as a partner to me later in my journey, because I took that time to interview them. But I was really sure it was a hell yes by the time I pulled the trigger. And I encourage everybody to do that. Spend time with anybody, because this is going to get deep. Yeah. It's at times going to get dark. It's just real. It's what you said. It's a place. My clients tell me all the time, this is the only place I have where I can talk about the business. I can talk about what I'm scared of. I can talk about things that I'm not sure of. I can say things out loud and not worry about the fallout or the ripple effects. Like, it is a safe, sacred place for people to show up to so that they can go on and create whatever it is they're trying to create in the world.
Yes. Okay. Couple more questions. One. Who has influenced you most?
I caught myself in that moment. So the answer hit me like that. And I was like, yeah, it's not really a very powerful businessy answer, but it's just the answer. It's my kids.
I've had all kinds of answers.
Yeah.
There's no wrong answer to that.
I know. Sometimes I forget. We all forget. Sometimes it's what would the character say, right? What would the persona say?
Right.
What
am I expected to say?
What will they like most?
Yeah.
But no, it's my kids. I mean, my kids and all of you all that have kids know that they're our greatest mirrors. You know, we see ourselves, we see our flaws, we see our shortcomings, we see our humanity in them. And they teach me something every single day, and they are my work, which makes me my work, right? Because I believe that all of us, we all have what we call good days or bad days. But one of the things we learned, so you talked about kind of our training, and one of the things they said that didn't resonate with me when I was going through the training, because I was like, yeah, maybe that's a stretch. They said that everybody does the best that they can with what they have in any given moment. So no matter what you look like, hey, that person who just, went crazy at the woman, standing behind the desk, because the flight's delayed. Yeah, that person could have done any better in that moment because of how tired he was, because of what he's learned, because what's been modeled, because of what he has in that moment. So if that's true, if we believe that we do the best we can with what we have in every possible moment, then the only way to do better is to change what we have, right? Mm-hmm. So the only way for me to be better for my kids, because look, I screw up. I am way less reactive than I used to be, but I mean, I lose it. I forget. I scream. I yell. There are moments as a dad that I'm not proud of. And then I pull myself back. And because I want to be better, because I don't want that to be their experience, because I don't want to take the things that were modeled for me from my childhood, necessarily just blindly pass those on. Well, that is fuel for me to be better. That requires me to do my work so that I can show up better for my kids and my clients and everybody else. So, yeah, it's my kids.
Wonderful answer. What's the best piece of advice you've ever received?
So something my coach said to me, there's this thing I have where I'll have an idea or want to do something or things like that. And sometimes I will prop it up and I'm looking for validation. I'm looking for somebody to say yes. And he always kind of laughs at me. Some of the best advice I have is, it's your business. Do what you want. Because I'll bring stuff to him like he's going to have some profound answer or thoughts, and he's like, yeah, cool. It's your business. Do what you want.
I love that. Do you feel like not just the validation part, but like you need permission from somebody?
Yeah. So that's even a better word, because so I often seek permission, and he constantly, he kind of doesn't play into the story. It's just like, he doesn't say, yes, that's a good idea, or yes, you should do it. It's just, do what you want. It's your business. Do what you want. It's such a powerful reminder that this is a game, and I've chosen to play the game of coaching, right? The people watching have chosen to play the game of owning a plumbing company or a marketing agency or whatever it is. These are the games we play. And because there are games, we get to create the rules. They can be anything we want them to be. We get to define success. It can be anything we want it to be. But we forget.
And that's why it helps to have somebody remind us, somebody to come to bounce that back and forth. Okay, final question. You ready?
No.
What does success look like to you?
Success. So it's a question I've thought a lot about, because I spent so much of my life chasing definitions that weren't mine. Success to me is showing up fully for my two amazing kids and being just fully present for my family to create experiences and live a life that we love and we look forward to. First and foremost, it's that. Professionally, it is to do work that I truly love, that I can pour myself into and be paid well to do it. I think sometimes even me, I can paint a picture of, oh, as long as I'm doing work that I love, everything's great, and this and that, right? But that's, you leave out the other stuff because of the fear, right? If I start setting big financial goals, then
is my heart really not in it? Like back to the segmentation of, if you earn a lot of money, are you really?
That's right. Well, and as long as the only definition is to do work that I love, well, I can define success any way I want. That can be a moving target, and I can always feel successful, right? So I want those things and to achieve the financial and business goals that I have in a way that feels fun and light for me. So that is what I call a rider to my goal. Like, it's not just about being successful financially at any cost. It's not just about being able to be present because I can be present and make no money.
Sure.
And I can be financially successful by saying yes to a bunch of stuff that I absolutely hate, that drains my energy. Right? That's not fun for me. So for me, I want to be successful in a way that feels fun and light.
Nice. Well, Deryl, I very much appreciate your time of sharing your story, your insights, all of that kind of stuff, going through my homework with me on, air.
So if we do this once a week, will the homework just always be done?
Look.
You do the work. You show up. Because you see it. You're on the other side. You know what happens when your clients do the work.
You used me as an example, and you changed the name to protect my.
I did.
Yeah, because that was I don't even remember exactly which one that was, but I'm always coming up with some great content for you.
You provide great stories that I am able to tell about the impact of coaching. But I'm watching. It's because of what's happening. It's because of, again, I'm watching what's coming out of the time we spend together.
Look, it makes it, to me, I just took that as like I'm super messed up, but that's not it at all. No. It's I am at this stage, and I know if I'm going to enter into my next phase of a level of success that I've never been to before. I've never even come close to this place in my life. New territory. And while I'm not terrified of the territory, I don't know how to navigate this yet. And I know, first of all, you've been there. Like, you've owned multiple businesses. You are a coach. Like, your place of how to work with me. But I know if I don't have a guide, that whole 1970s quicksand was everywhere. It's going to be everywhere. Yeah. Somebody's going to chloroform me. I watch a lot of 70s shows at this point. I'm going to be chloroformed. I'm going to fall into quicksand. Like, there's going to be an avalanche. Something's going to happen. Somebody's going to chase me. Like, there's too many things out there I don't know, and I don't know what I don't know, and I need to make sure that I have the capacity to take care of myself, to show up fully, so that I can pay attention to opportunities and challenges and be strategic and all of this stuff, not just for myself, but for my clients as well. And then also developing that life that I do want. And I have to become something else. And now I just heard the whole intro to the Arrow show. Sorry.
Yeah. So, it's not that you're messed up at all.
No.
It's that you're willing to take a step back and say, what are the stories that I'm believing? What is it in my thinking that I'm paying that I'm taking too seriously, so I can never do the things, I can never create? What is keeping me small, right? That I'm unconscious to, and you're willing to look at that stuff.
And for me, I was like, I know I'm blocked, and I know I'm the problem. So I'm willing to take full responsibility for this. I just don't know I can't see it. I don't know what it is. In the day that I was crying, and I had to cut you off early because we don't cry in front of people. It was really, there's a lot of triggers that were happening, and it all fell down to, I don't know an answer, and you're asking me for an answer, and I don't have an answer. So I got to go, because I got to go figure out what the answer is, because right now I am losing my shit.
And you did. And no, I mean, so sorry to interrupt, but it's such a big, in that moment, you could have very easily retreated, right? You could have retreated into safety, but you came back to our next conversation and said, okay, first of all, you pissed me off. Which got me thinking, why am I pissed off by this? Right? Then like, you took me through your reflection. That's the work.
Yes.
You
it was a lot of work.
And it was big. It clears the way. And look, I'm the one who's like going to reveal I know some of the stuff you've been working on, but the things you're creating right now, the things you're pushing into is incredible. And I'm excited for it. And you jazz me up, and it's so cool to see the shifts happen. And I think the beauty of coaching, and I've seen Christy do this for people over and over and over again, is great coaches don't see their clients as broken, don't see their clients as limited, we just don't buy into the story, right?
No.
Our clients try to enroll us in the story about all the reasons why it can't work or won't work or what's going on or whose fault it is. I'm like, that's great. I'm just not buying the story. So I see your genius, and I always have. So it's really easy for me to coach you. It's really easy for me to say some of these challenging things to you because I refuse to let you be anything less. And I've seen you do this. You've done the same thing for me as a friend and a coach. I've seen the way you show up when you get in front of rooms and you move people. Like, we just don't buy into the bull.
No, except our own sometimes.
Well,
and that's what gets us in
that's
trouble.
the hardest part. That's why we have coaches.
That's why we have coaches. Daryl, thank you so much for, again, back to you. Thank you for this conversation. Love to have you back sometime.
Yeah, this is fun.
Yeah, it is. Because then we can just like pick a topic and go with that.
Sure.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you.
So, did you guys enjoy that? Did you enjoy me, submitting my homework live on an episode? Yeah. I didn't share every single piece of that because we saved that for my own coaching session. But the depth of conversation that we had, I just loved it. I hope you got a lot out of that too. I hope that you take to heart what we were talking about of doing the work. We as coaches can help you so far, but it falls under that whole old adage, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. Like, you have to do the work if you want something to work in your life. Now, the other thing I really liked was, he briefly mentioned the word, so we're going to do like a word of the day, ethnography. It's the scientific description of the customs of individual peoples and cultures. I love to learn new things. And I took an ethnography class in college, and it was about the Plains Indians. And then I took another one about the Indians of the Northwest. And so Native Americans, let me be politically correct. So when you learn about these cultures, then I started doing my own. I chuckle because I look at my own family and what subset of a culture are we? How am I doing the ethnography on that? What about my chamber? What is the culture of this particular chamber is vastly different than the culture of a chamber right across the river, or even in the same metropolitan area. We have like 5 other chambers and we are all very different. It's just so interesting. Between this ethnography conversation and then, of course, consumer behaviors, I love the psychographics of things. Why do people do what they do? What behaviors, like what drives them? And this is part of what helps me be a great strategist, is I love to learn more about people and how they think and function and what has influenced them through their environment and the people they're around. And, like, what is in there? Where is their locus of control? Is it inner or outer? Like, don't even know. And you guys, here's how my brain works. So when I said locus of control, if it's an inner or outer, I was surprised that in my head, I said to myself, I'm surprised you didn't say it was an innie or outie. And now I have this image of a belly button as my locus of control. Is it an innie or an outie? I'm sorry, but this is how my brain works every once in a while, and you got to just be a part of it. But I don't want to take up too much more time because I just want to say thank you. If you've made it this far in any of the episodes, I'm very appreciative that you're listening to these. I think that giving my guests this platform in which to spotlight themselves and their sweet spots, their strengths, their passions, the love of what they do with their business and what they're bringing, the magic they are bringing to the world. I love that I get to help share that. And I'm glad that you have participated with us. Please leave us a raving review, share with your friends. Don't keep this a secret. Everybody in business, or even just those that like to hear about good stories, should be listening to my guests. Really want them to have as much exposure as possible. Leave us a great review, hit the subscribe button, find us on your favorite channels, all of the things. And if nothing else, go to the website, smallbusinesssuccesstalk.com. I've been your host, Christy Smallwood, and I, again, cannot express to you how grateful I am for you every time you listen or watch. Thank you so much, and we'll catch you again on the next episode of Small Business Success.